come to standing and to lift and roll your shoulders. Turn your head from side to side, breathing in as you turn one way. To the left is fine, but whatever. Breathing out as you turn your head to the other direction. And bring your head back to the center. We start with a Tai Chi opening sequence. As you breathe in, raise your arms up to the ceiling, clasp them and reverse the palms upwards. Stretch your hands up and press your feet down. Breathing out, lower your hands back down alongside you. And once again, breathing in as you circle your hands up, clasp your hands, reverse, press your hands up to the sky and your feet to the ground. Breathing out, lower your hands. And again, breathing in, circling your hands up, clasp, reverse, breathing out, lower your hands. And once more as you breathe in, raising your hands up, clasp, reverse, upwards, and release. This time, as you circle your hands up, in the same way, clasp and reverse, and separate your hands as you bring them to face in front of you. Breathing in, bend your elbows as you open your arms to the side. Breathing out as you bring your hands back to clasp. Bend your elbows as you reverse your hands going upwards. And just one more time. Breathing out, lower, separate your hands and lower them to being parallel in front of you. Bend your elbows as you open your arms out. Breathing as you bring your hands together and breathing in as you reverse up and then just release your hands by your side. Lift and roll your shoulders. Circle your wrists in one direction and circle your wrists in the other direction. And open your fingers and just curl them in. And open and curl and release. So we're going to start our practice by coming to kneeling. Your knees are wide apart, and if you don't like coming down on your knees, then keep your bottom high and to keep the softness there in your knees. And you can always have a cushion or a bolster for your head, which makes coming forward less. So big toes together, knees wide apart, and coming either to rest on forward, but you can use that bolster so that coming forward is less for you. The more you move your bolster away from you, the more your bottom can go up in the air, if that's better for your knees. And just take a couple of breaths here. You're beginning to stretch out your lower back. Even though it's uncomfortable potentially to have your tummy being compressed, it restricts your breathing a little bit and bizarrely is supposed to be quite helpful for you to increase ultimately your capacity. It's almost like a training method, but that's a whole other subject. And just release, you'll feel your lower back begin to stretch out. You can have your elbows bent, or if you particularly want to stretch your arms out, lifting them off the ground, you can stretch them out. And you'll feel this in your upper back. But it's fine to have your elbows bent on the ground.
And then just engage your lower abdomen in towards your spine a little bit to protect your back. Engage your perineum and just gently come up to kneeling and tabletop.
You might want to move your bolster support away from you. And just very gently sway your bottom from side to side in tabletop. Come to centre and breathing in, dipping your back in cat-cow, looking either up or along the mat. Breathing out, rounding, chin comes to chest, cow.
Breathing in, dipping your back.
And breathing out, rounding, cow.
Come back to neutral, your flat back. Extend your right foot along the floor behind you and lift your right knee off the ground. You're stretching underneath tucking your toes underneath. And then turn to look over your left shoulder. And then turn to look over your right shoulder. Then cross your right ankle over your left foot. And turn to look over your left shoulder. And turn to look over your right shoulder. Come back to the centre. And just release back to tabletop. And then come to sliding your left toes back, tucking your left toes under. Turn to look over your left shoulder. And then turn to look over your right shoulder. Come back to the centre. Bring your left foot over your right foot. And turn to look over one shoulder, your right shoulder, and then turn to look over your other shoulder, your left shoulder. Come back to centre and untuck your toes. Breathing in, dipping your back, cat, and breathing out, rounding, cow. Breathing in, cat, and breathing out, cow. Come back to a flat back. Move your hands to the left to give you space to step up your right foot. And then your hands go either side of your right foot. Just explore into that right hip. You can keep your left hand where it is or adjust to be comfortable. And place your right hand on your right waist, turning to the right. Your head turns, you're opening up your right shoulder. And we're just going to stay like this, opening out to the right. And then very gently bring your hands back to either side of your right foot. And slide your right foot back into tabletop. Sway your bottom from side to side. And then move your hands to the right to give space for your left foot to come up. And your hands go either side of your left foot. Just release and relax, stretching into the left hip. Come back to your knee being a 90-degree angle. And place your left hand on your left waist so you're opening up and out to the left. Your chin tucks in so that the spine, the back of the neck is long. Just opening up to the side. And then very gently come back, hands either side of your front forward left foot, and slide your left foot back to kneeling into tabletop. Just very gently slide. Move your bottom from side to side. And then tucking your toes, tummy in. Come to a very soft downward dog. I'm not going to keep you here very long. I want to avoid any pressure on the eyes. So just bending your knees and then walk your feet towards your hands and your hands towards your feet. And ragdoll your way up. So really bend your knees and rolling up very, very gently, vertebra by vertebra to standing. And lift and roll your shoulders. So before we go on to the next movement, I just wanted to focus on the eyes a little bit. So the opening sequence where we put our hands up and did this is an opening Tai Chi sequence. The next part of that is to just very gently place, I'm using my third fingers, on the inside of the eyes where you get the teardrops thing. Just angle your pads of your fingers in towards your nose, the bridge of your nose, and very gently make little circles on that pressure point, anti-clockwise to start with, and then clockwise to start with. So that energy point you might be familiar with, but it is used in the opening sequence of Tai Chi at the eye centre. But then just very gently bring the pads of your fingers to the inside of your eyebrows and just circle there anti-clockwise. You'll feel a little dent, and then clockwise. Then move your fingers halfway along your eyebrows, and it's the same thing, there's a little nick in the bone. Anti-clockwise a few times, and clockwise a few times. According to the doshas, Vata would have a set number of times, Pitta a number of times, and Kapha another number of times. But if you do it about 5 times, that's about in the middle. And then slide your hands to the outside of your temples, just circling in one direction and circling in the other direction. Take your third finger and just directly below the pupils of your eyes. This is very soft skin, so perhaps not circle, but just gently tap on that point. If you felt, again, there'd be a little nick in the bone there. And then just very gently take a hand, it doesn't matter which one, spread your fingers and just very gently stroke across your forehead, going from one side to the other. Just soothing across the third eye. And if you want to keep circulation in your head, this is particularly for headaches, but if there are any eye problems, you might want to keep the circulating blood in your head as well. Just above the eyebrows there are some bony points called neurovascular, they're energy points. You just slightly press down with the pads of your fingers, I'm using my third and fourth finger, the ring finger, and just release. It stops the blood leaving, so it stops fluid leaving to other parts of the body, keeps the blood more there in the forehead, which, like less dehydrating. It's very good for headaches. But as I said, you're keeping the circulation there. And then just very, very gently, just release and turn your head once more to the left as you breathe in and to the right as you breathe out. Left as you breathe in and right as you breathe out. And then come back to the centre and just dropping your hands below your jawbone, literally the jawbone, and then you've got behind the ears almost, just that point there. It's very good for both the ears and the eyes if you just massage again with the tips of your fingers.
You can carry on, but I'm just focusing on a few points, just to clear everything. So the circulation is flowing and blood's flowing and just anything can clear away a little bit more. And then just release. Lift and roll your shoulders. Turn to the side of the mat and bring your left foot forward, maybe out to the edge of the mat to keep your balance. Your right foot turns to a 45-degree angle. And breathing in, stretching your arms up, perhaps look just straight ahead here. And breathing out, soften your knee and bring your hands as you bend forward, sliding down your left leg, either stopping at the shin or touching your fingers to the floor. Breathing in, come up. If you don't want to bring your head down very much, then just bring your hands to the shin. Breathing in, raising your hands up. Breathing out, soften your front left knee and slide your hands down your shin, stopping where you feel comfortable. Press your foot down, your feet down to support you to come up. Stretch your fingers up and breathing out one last time. Sliding down. Pressing your feet into the ground. Coming up, hands up, stretch your fingers so your thumb comes towards your head, your little finger away, and then breathing out, lower your hands and step your left foot back. Stepping your right foot forward now, it's going to be the same thing. So take time to adjust your right foot out towards the edge of the mat if you feel that that's quite good for your balance. Your left foot turns out slightly to support you. And then breathing in, soften your front right leg as you stretch your arms up, stretching your fingers, and breathing out. Come forward to slide your hands down your front right leg, maybe stopping at the shin, maybe coming right down to the floor. Press your feet into the ground as you come up to standing. Hands up. Breathing out, soften your front leg. Press your feet into the ground as you come up. And breathing out, soften forward. Press your feet into the ground as you come up. Breathing out, lower your hands and step your right foot back. Come to the centre of the mat as we come very, very gently to sway from side to side. And then come to slow that swaying down and come to the centre. Feet hip width apart. Breathing in, breathe out, bring your hands to the centre, your heart centre. Breathing in, circle your hands up, palms meet. Bring your palms down through the centre to the heart centre and then bend your knees as you slide your hands down to touch the floor or your shins. Breathing in, lengthen your spine from tailbone to the top of the head. Breathe out, bend your knees, bend your elbows. And breathing in, press your feet into the ground as you roll up to standing. And hands up, touching your palms. Bring your hands through the centre. And then come to sit in your own time onto the mat. So feet out in front of you and just bounce your legs.
And then extend, you can have your hands out. Classically, the fingers would point forward, but just be relaxed here. Toes up as you breathe in, and then toes away from you as you breathe out. Breathing in as the toes go up, and breathing out as the toes go away from you. Toes up and toes down. And then very gently start to circle the ankles in one direction. And then start to circle the ankles in the other direction. And then stretch your toes out and then relax them. And then stretch your toes out and then relax them. Just touch your hands lightly either side of you to lengthen your spine and sit up. And then either have your hands either side of you or place your hands on top of your legs as you gently slide your hands down. This is going to be a very gentle forward bend. I'm very cautious and aware of eyes, so I'm not going to come too far forward today. It is a very gentle forward bend. The reason for doing this is if you tuck your chin into your chest, which you tend to do naturally coming forward, the back of the neck lengthens and the chin coming like this slightly down towards the chest activates the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is implicated in any kind of inflammation, which would be a flare up or something not quite right anywhere in the body. So this is quite helpful to for an anti-inflammatory response to the body, but also coming forward begins to calm the nervous system. If you come too far forward, then that's lovely, but you are bringing more blood to the head, so there's like a happy medium as to where you'll feel comfortable. Just breathing in and out. And the nervous system begin to relax, of course lets muscles begin to relax, and there's a deconstriction of everything, the muscles, the blood, and then flow optimally through the body, every part of the body, and that blood flow allows more oxygen to be delivered and more toxins to be taken away, so it improves the health throughout. But then just gently slide your hands up. And in yoga, and particularly in Ayurveda, the eyes and the stomach are very linked. And a movement for the stomach and for the lower samana energy running from side to side at the navel level is to turn slightly. So just resting your hands on the ground again, either side of you. Cross your right ankle over your left. This also, even though you're not doing very much, balances the brain hemispheres because the body is registering a crossover. Just lengthen your body and take your left hand to the outside of your right thigh and your right hand goes behind you. Just touch your fingers to the ground as you breathe in and lengthen your body. And breathe out, turn to look over your right shoulder. Your head will be the last thing to turn. Each time you breathe in, lightly lengthen your spine. And each time you breathe out, just turn slightly. You don't have to turn a lot. Your body is registering that rotation, which twisting just slightly, almost like wringing out a cloth, has that wringing effect at the navel level. But as I said, the navel and the eyes are connected, and they're connected through the element of fire, which is, I find quite interesting. Even though the main element for the eyes is, and the third eye is ether, there is a fire connection because everything gets paired. It's very complex. And then just rotating round, uncross your right foot from your left ankle maybe touch your hands to the floor and just bounce your legs again. And then crossing your left ankle over your right, just lengthening your spine. Bring your right hand to the outside of your left thigh and bring your left hand behind you, touching the floor or wherever, depending on your arm length as to how much you touch connect with the floor. Breathing in, lengthening your spine, and then breathing out, very gently turn to look over your left shoulder. It doesn't matter if you don't get there. Breathing in, lengthening the spine, and then breathing out, just turn. And again, this is rotation. Anything rotational is aligning for the spine, because you just, again, almost like a rag, just stretching out, but very, very gently. Breathing in and out. And then very gently come back to the centre, uncross your left ankle from your right, just circle your ankles a couple of times, and then to compensate for the forward movement that we've made, just slide your hands down your shins to come back to your forward bend. So you can hold your shins. If you want to extend that further, you can hold your big toes. But the further you come, of course, the more you're stretching across your lower back. So it's your choice. Breathing in and out. And then very gently slide your hands up, bend your knees and come to lying on the ground. Feet are hip width apart, knees are bent. Sometimes it's helpful to press your feet into the ground to lift your bottom and then to resettle your bottom back down onto the ground. So just start by gently turning your head to the left as you breathe in, and then bring your head back to centre and very gently turn your head to the right. Again, a couple more times, breathing in as you turn your head to the left. Come to the centre, and the head almost rolls, although it is a conscious movement to the right. Come to the centre. Hands, palms down, all resting on your abdomen. Just do a couple of pelvic tilts, so you're flattening your back to the ground as if you were going to lift your bottom up, and then releasing your, there's a little space that appears at your lower back level. Again, this is pulsing the blood at the lower back level, flattening your back and then releasing. And if we do this a couple of times again, you'll start to feel the tingling of the blood as it gets activated along the spine, right up to the head. And then just have your feet slightly wider than hip width apart. Your hands again can be palms down or resting on your abdomen. As you just let both knees drift over to the right, and let your head turn very gently to the left. And take an in and an out breath here. Your left hip lifts off the floor. If you are doing this at home and want to stay here for longer, you can always put support underneath your right knee if it needs that. But then gently engage your perineum, your lower back, abdomen towards your spine as you bring the knees upright, bring your head back to centre, and then very gently let your both knees drift over to the left. Your right hip will lift, and you can gently turn your head towards the right, either looking up or have your eyes closed, or looking along the floor, which is a stronger focus. Just again, breathing here in and out. And then engage everything to bring your knees upright. And this time, like windscreen wipers, just gently rock your knees to the right, your head goes to the left. Knees come to the centre, as does your head. Knees go over to the left, and your head goes to the right. And just carry on in your own time, just gently rocking from side to side. Your head is being supported, like the rest of your body, by the earth, by the ground. And so any head movement that you make is almost the weight of your head is being supported by the earth. So you can turn your head with a focus on the eyes being quite relaxed. And then come to the centre. Just adjust your feet being comfortably hip width apart. And while you're here with you can have your eyes open or closed. Just very gently roll your eyes upwards, keeping your face still. Bring your eyes to the centre and then roll your eyes downwards, which is interesting when you're lying down. Come back to the centre. Just let your eyes move to the left. Come to the centre and let your eyes move to the right. Come to the centre, just blink and close your eyes for a moment, just to reset the eyes. And then keeping the right foot where it is, hug the left foot in, left knee in towards you. This becomes an apanasana movement. Apana is a downward, the bottom foundational energy of the 5 energies that exist in the body in the Eastern system. So apanasana is the yogic word for pose, so it's apanasana. Holding your left knee, just make little circles with your left knee, so you can feel the top of your thighs moving in the left hip socket. And then just very gently circle your left knee in the socket, again holding it. Breathing in, let your left knee travel to arm's length, holding it still, and breathing out, hug the left knee into your chest. And repeat that a couple of times, letting the knee extend away from you, and breathing out, hug the left knee into the chest. Breathing in, let the knee travel away, and breathing out, hugging into the chest. And again, letting it move away, and breathing out, hugging into the chest. And then dropping your hands underneath your left thigh, just raise your left leg to the ceiling, and just circle your left ankle a couple of times in one direction. And circle your ankle a couple of times in the other direction. Stretch your toes out on your left foot. Bend your left knee in towards you and open the left knee out towards the left, placing your left ankle on top of the right leg, past the right leg. Hands either on your abdomen or palms down on the floor. As you just gently rock both knees from side to side, and your hips can lift while you do this. Just a gentle rock from side to side. So you're massaging across your lower back. And then hugging the left knee into the chest again. And gently support that left leg as you place the left foot back onto the ground. At any time, make any adjustments you need to become comfortable. If that means pressing your feet down to lift your back and just readjust it, then please do. Bringing your attention now to your right side, hug your right knee into your chest. For stiffness in the back, possibly people have more issues on their right side, particularly if they're right-handed. So Just really enjoy hugging your right knee into your chest. And then just begin to circle your right knee a few times in one direction and feel this as it starts to move your thigh bone in your hip socket, your right hip socket. This, along with the shoulders, both rotational joints, are one of the areas where we age, as our muscles don't get the full use, rotational use, and start to contract slightly. And then very gently reverse your circle in the other direction. So doing this is a really easy way to reverse that or keep everything moving and supple. And then coming to the centre, placing your hands clasped perhaps underneath your right thigh to extend your right foot to the ceiling and extend your right heel. Feel the stretch along the back of your right leg. And then begin to circle your right ankle a few times in one direction. And then circle your right ankle a few times in the other direction. And then bend the right knee in towards your chest. Hug the right knee into the chest and still holding it, let the right knee travel away to arm's length. Again, hugging the right knee into the chest and let it extend away to arm's length. And again, a couple of times, you're also just pulsing along the lower back. So the circulation is just going all the way along the spine, right the way through the neck into the top of the head. Just check that the back of your neck is long to allow that to happen as you hug the knee into the chest and then just releasing it as you let the left knee travel away from you. Activating that apana energy that can so often get stuck. Starting with the foundation, if that's out, everything else is out. So this is a really helpful movement on more levels than the physical level. And then very gently, still holding the right knee, supporting it while you open your knee out to the right, your right knee out to the right, and rest your right ankle on the top of your left leg, left thigh. Hands can be either on your waist or hands down on your palms down on the floor, and just rock both knees from side to side. The rock can be a little bit, your hips will lift off the ground, or it can be a lot. And again, that entirely depends on your capacity. You'll notice as you rock over, particularly on your right leg, which is open, you'll really massage the top of your right bottom. And that connects into a major acupressure point at the top of the bottom. So again, it can be very, very releasing. And then gently hug the right knee into the chest. And then hug the left knee, both knees into the chest. You can open your knees so that they're slightly wider, and then just hug both knees into the chest. Still holding them, let both knees travel away slightly. Hug both knees into the chest. Let both knees travel away. Hug both knees into the chest. Let both knees travel away. Let both knees hug into the chest. And let both knees travel away. Both knees into the chest. And both knees travel away. And then just hug the knees into the chest and just gently rock from side to side. Again, you can lift your hips off the ground to do that. And to come into an inversion, just clasp your hands behind both legs, raising. You can keep your knees bent, the feet up towards the ceiling. I really have got my knees quite bent, and I'm just rocking from side to side. So if you want to increase blood flow to the head, but without putting the eyes or any other part of you under pressure, legs up a wall or legs over a chair is a really useful way to do that. You can support your head with cushions, you can support under your thighs with cushions, but it's a really simple way to bring blood flow to the head, so increasing function, but without straining your head or feeling that you're getting a blood rush to the head. And then very gently bend both knees, hugging the knees into the chest once more, and just rocking from side to side. And then supporting the legs under the thighs to place one foot and then the other onto the floor. Your feet are hip width apart, knees up to the ceiling. Hands either palms down or on your abdomen as you just gently rock your knees from side to side. Your head can also join in, so your head would move away from the direction of your knees. Very gentle, very subtle movement or a swaying from side to side. And then bring your knees to the centre. Just place your hands on your abdomen, your elbows might open outwards slightly. And take a couple of breaths, just noticing that your abdomen rises slightly on the in-breath and just falls away slightly on the out-breath. It's a very subtle movement. And then just raise your hands slightly higher to your lower ribs, and your elbows will move out to the side more. Just cradling your ribs and noticing as you breathe in and out that the ribs almost move. You're breathing into your ribs. So it's a slightly different focus or an awareness where the breath's going. And then bring your elbows in to raise your hands, your fingertips to your collarbone. And imagine filling the air up almost to your fingertips. It's called the three-part breath. It's just a gentle awareness of we tend not to breathe using everything. Our breath tends to be shallow. For health and breath control, you can have as you know, lots of breathing practices, holding the breath out. We're just gently being aware of everything. And then just relax. You can have your knees high, or you can just relax along the floor in Shavasana. Or have your knees touching in constructive rest where your feet go out to the side of the mat. And just then, as you breathe in and out, have or choose a colour and wrap yourself in your preferred colour of today, keeping or just only allowing positive things to come in, so everything positive stays with you. Anything you don't want, just let that float off and out, away from you. Let it float to the edge of your body as you breathe out, and then to the edge of the world as you breathe out again. And then let it float to the edge of the universe. And take a moment to have a thought for the day. It can be for yourself or for anybody at all. It's your sankalpa. And just mentally have that thought. Just wishing yourself or for anybody a lovely day, or just wishing something for them. And mentally think that a couple of times. And then let it go, let it float off. The intention has been set. And then you can stay where you are lying on the ground. Just bring your palms together, raising your palms and your elbows, of course, to your third eye, just touching your thumbs to your third eye, connecting in. And then with your thumbs, just smooth your thumbs from the centre of your forehead out towards your temples, and just both thumbs come off at the temples. Just again, bring your thumbs to your third eye, palms touch, and then just smooth the backs of the thumbs away from you, coming off at the temples. And one more time, backs of the thumbs touching at the third eye, smoothing the backs of the thumbs outwards, away from one another, coming off at the temples. And you can either stay here, just drifting off, or if you want to come to finish the class, just a mental thank you very much for joining me today. You can come to seated, but I'm very happy if you just want to carry on relaxing and drifting on the mat. But thank you very much for joining me.